Hey everyone, it's Tom here with thisonlineworld.com, and we're all having a fantastic day today. So I made $65 in about 45 minutes the other day, and it was some of the easiest money I've ever made online. And I did this by using a website called User Interviews, one of the world's largest market research platforms. So this company has studies that could pay you hundreds of dollars per hour. But is User Interviews legit, or is it a scam? Well, my User Interviews review is covering exactly how this platform works, how I made $65 in just 45 minutes, and also one of my kind of hidden tips you can use to make as much money with this platform as possible. Let's get to it. All right, so just starting off, what is User Interviews? Well, it's a market research platform with over 4 million members, and it basically matches researchers and companies who want to hear feedback from specific consumer groups. So unlike paid surveys, which tend to ask very general questions to general populations, User Interviews is looking for niche groups of people and very niche demographics to match researchers with study participants to complete different research studies. So for example, User Interviews might look for accountants to take part in a study about accounting software, or it might ask business owners, different questions about a particular study that's going on. So it's much more niche than answering paid surveys, but as a result, the payouts are much higher. In fact, you can find studies on User Interviews paying anywhere from $50 to $100, $150 per hour, or even more in some cases. It also has online, in-person, and phone-based interviews and studies going on, so it's a pretty versatile platform, again, that's very high paying. Well, User Interviews is free to sign up for. You just need your email address, or you can also connect through LinkedIn to create an account. Currently, User Interviews is available in North America, the UK, Australia, France, Germany, South Africa, and a couple more countries. Now, you do need a computer with a webcam and a microphone because a lot of the studies are done via Zoom or some kind of meeting portal, so keep that in mind. And once you create your profile, you then answer a demographic questionnaire about yourself. And this is a little bit more in-depth than answering, paid surveys or signing up for a survey site, because User Interviews really wants to know about your professional background, your education, types of software and tools you use on a daily basis. And again, this is because it wants to match you to some pretty niche studies that are going on. It took me about 5 to 10 minutes to complete my profile, and once you complete your profile, you can then browse a list of available studies that are going on right now. And what I like about User Interviews is that the studies are very clear about who they're looking for, what the study's about, how much it pays, the time length, and if it's done via Zoom, phone, webcam, or in person. Once you spot a study you think you're a good fit for, you can answer a short screener to try and qualify for that study. And now, this is the main downside of User Interviews, because the screeners only take a minute or two usually, but this is unpaid work. And I've heard there's about a 5 to 10% acceptance rate on User Interviews. So what this means is you might find, 10, 15 studies and apply to a bunch of them and not get into any of them and effectively spend time for no money. Now, for me personally, I applied to about 8 studies on User Interviews over the last few months, and I got in on my 8th study. This is the one I completed for $65. More on that later in this video. So, 1 in 8, that's a pretty good rate. Even if it was 1 in 10, the rate is pretty decent in my opinion, because again, these studies are high paying, and so it's worth the time in my opinion. But anyways, once you get accepted to a study, the researcher emails you, gives you instructions on how to pick a time slot that they're going to interview you, or, when the study is going to take place. You complete the study and then you get paid. All right, so how much does User Interviews pay? This is another important factor to consider with any kind of online side hustle, and this is honestly the section I'm most excited about because it's why User Interviews is pretty awesome in my opinion. And so I completed one study with User Interviews so far. It was a 45-minute study. It was with someone from Vistaprint, and it basically involved, giving some feedback on this new design tool they were working on. And it was pretty fun. I logged into Zoom once I scheduled my time slot. The guy talked to me about my business, and then he talked to me about Vistaprint, and then we went through this little module together and I gave my feedback. Again, super fun, low pressure. It was professional. He asked permission to record the session, didn't ask any crazy questions. It was pretty simple, low stress. And at the end of the study, I got paid $65 and I cashed out with a free Amazon gift card. I'll talk about that again in a little bit. And so $65 for 45 minutes of work is a great hourly rate in my opinion. And again, a lot of User Interview studies pay anywhere from $50 to $100 or even more. Now again, actually qualifying for the studies is the tricky part. And this is my secret tip I wanted to share about User Interviews and what I've kind of pieced together over the last few months. When you start a study screener and you start getting through a couple of the questions, you might be able to get an idea of what the study is looking for. And so in this example, I quickly learned, okay, this is probably from Vistaprint or some kind of Vistaprint competitor. And the question started asking me, would you ever purchase business cards for your business? Would you ever purchase, printable material for your business? And, maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't, but I clicked yes, and I think that's why I qualified for this study. So I think the tip here is, don't lie, be honest with your answers, but if you get a sense of where the study's kind of trying to get to, you can maybe play along with it a little bit so you have a higher chance of getting in. At least that's what I did, and I think that's why it worked. All right, so cashing out, how does User Interviews pay you? Well, another nice thing about it is when you're viewing studies on the platform, it tells you if they pay via gift card or PayPal Cash. Most of the studies I've seen pay you via gift card. So you complete the study, the researcher approves it, and then you get a link to a redemption for an electronic gift card. I'll put some footage up on screen right now. So I cashed out with a $65 US Amazon gift card, which was like 88 Canadian or something like that. Now, one small downside is it can take up to a week or two to get paid through user interviews because the researcher, again, has to approve that study. So yeah, you showed up, you did a good job, and then you get paid. But in my case, the user interviewer guy paid me right after the study completed. Like within 5 seconds, I had that gift card code sent my way, which was really, really cool. All right, so the pros and cons of user interviews. Why would you sign up for this platform, and why wouldn't it be a good fit? Well, the first pro I have to say is just there's lots of studies available. You get email alerts from user interviews. They're sending emails all the time, so I think it's a pretty decent platform. The second pro I want to mention is just the hourly pay. I mean, I got $65 for a 45-minute study, which is a very good rate in the world of, online surveys and focus groups. And the third pro I want to mention is that it's fun. I had a user interview session with this guy from Vistaprint. We just chatted a bunch about business stuff and about their new design tool. So I thought it was pretty cool. It was fun, very low stress, and it paid well. All right, as for the cons, the main one just has to be that unpaid screener time. So you're going to spend, probably 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20 screeners or more where you're answering a few questions and you're not qualifying for the study. So again, it's not instant cash. And that leads me to the second con, which is just a lot of these studies are super niche. So I think user interviews is great if you work in IT, accounting, HR, you're a business owner, or you work with a lot of software or tools that companies might want feedback on. I think it's a little bit tougher if you don't work in a certain niche sector or industry. So keep that in mind. But anyways, guys,